Hello folks, this is forecaster James Follett here for Tri-County Weather Service on a video update on the storm for Tuesday night into Wednesday. Taking a look now at the current radar. This is live look at what is happening right now. This is our storm way down to the south, becoming more organized, bringing some very heavy rains from Memphis down to Houston and San Antonio, Nashville, Louisville, and parts of the Great Lakes as well, where they're seeing some heavy snow. Parts of snow also arriving in Pennsylvania and towards New York. That will continue to slowly move northward into Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire as we get into tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon, and then eventually, finally, into our neck of the woods as we get into Tuesday late night into early Wednesday morning. I'll show you the futurecast here in a little bit. But first, very large area of green and yellows. That's where the heaviest rain and the snow is. And this storm is just going to continue to develop as it gathers that warm tropical moisture combined with the extreme cold Arctic air to the north. That's going to make us set up for a very big storm that will actually track over the Bay of Fundy Tuesday night into Wednesday. And that's going to be bringing some very messy weather for us as we get into Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, and then just plain rain for Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon. Alright, so let's take a look at the futurecast now. Here's the futurecast using the RDPS model, which is the Canadian model. I think this is the best solution right now. Most of the other models have snowfall amounts of 10 to 15 centimeters. I think the storm's going to have a little bit of warm air to it, and that's going to cut those snowfall totals a bit down. That's why the last several storms we had, the snowfall amounts were less, and I think that's going to do for the next one as well. Nevertheless, so we are going to get a plowable snow still, and shovels will be needed because 5 to 10 centimeters of snow, perhaps even as much as 15 and 20 centimeters of snow, is likely in Shelburne area, parts of Digby and Yarmouth. I wouldn't rule out getting as much as 10 centimeters. So let's play this right now, starting for tonight all the way into the next 48 hours, which will take you into Wednesday afternoon. Looking at just mostly clear skies all the way into tonight and tomorrow. So tomorrow will be a nice day. We'll see those increasing clouds. Then you notice down here, this is where Massachusetts is, parts of New Hampshire, New York. That's where the snow will begin, taking us into Tuesday afternoon and early evening hours. The snow begins to arrive over there. And as we continue to play this into midnight Tuesday night, we are seeing the snow flurries now entering much of Maine and just beginning over parts of the south coast of Yarmouth and parts of the coastal areas along Shelburne as well. And then as we get into 1 and 2 a.m., that's when we'll see the snow begin to spread to all areas of the Tri-County. And snow will become heavy at times as well, especially as we get into the 2 and 3 a.m. morning hours. And then as we get into mid-morning Wednesday, around 4 to 6 a.m., that's when the heaviest snow will arrive, is between 4 and 6 a.m. So if you're traveling between the hours of 3 and 6 a.m., do plan on some very heavy snow before it changes over to ice and then eventually rain. We'll see that snow continue as we get into the early morning hours on Wednesday, and then finally as we get into around 6 or 7 a.m. on Wednesday morning, we see that change over the freezing rain and ice pellets along the south coast. Parts of Shelburne and Digby will remain snow, and then as we get into around 8 in the morning on Wednesday, we do see widespread freezing rain and ice pellets. Parts of the extreme south coast may change over to rain. And then as we get into the early afternoon hours, between 12 and 1 o'clock, we'll start seeing that freezing rain and ice pellets eventually finally changing over to rain. And by around noon hour, we'll see everyone experiencing some heavy rain. And see that red and yellow there? This is an indication of some very heavy rainfall in about the 6 to 10 millimeters per hour range. So we are looking at some very heavy rainfall as well with this, after the heavy snow, then freezing rain and ice pellets, and perhaps some graupel as well, and then all changing over to rain by noon hour on Wednesday. And then the system actually finally begins to pull out as it crosses the Bay of Fundy as we get towards early Wednesday afternoon. I say by 1 or 2 o'clock, most of us will be done with this system, and we'll just switch over to a few isolated showers by Wednesday afternoon. Now, snowfall amounts with this are, with this model, a little less than what they've shown earlier in my earlier update of this afternoon, but snowfall amounts on the 10-to-1 ratio are still quite significant. We are looking at amounts of 5 to 15 centimeters. The most snow being parts of Shelburne, Queens, and Hants County, and towards Halifax and much of the mainland Nova Scotia. You'll see about 10 to 15 centimeters tops of snow. It wouldn't surprise me if a few isolated areas may get up to 20 centimeters. Parts of Yarmouth down to Digby, you're looking at between 5 and 10 centimeters. And I'm kind of debating if Yarmouth County will be on the 15 centimeter side or the 10 centimeter side. The track switches a little back and forth, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. But as of now, I think they're going to be on the 10 centimeter side. But nevertheless, between 5 and 15 centimeters for everyone. Now, not just the snow and the heavy rain, but we're also going to have those strong winds. So here's the European model. The European model is one of the best out there in forecasting, and it's the most reliable. So I'm going to start this at 2 o'clock a.m. Nova Scotia time. We're seeing wind gusts of 30 kilometers per hour. As we increase this to 6 a.m., we'll start to see those winds increasing, and then by the time we get towards 8 a.m., that's when we'll see the wind gusts of 80 kilometers per hour. Parts of the coast here, 90 kilometers per hour, and then of course you got that 100 kilometers per hour creeping up, and Bay of Fundy now approaching 116. As we get towards close to noon hour, that's when we'll see the heaviest winds, and I mean they are going to be howling. We are talking wind speeds of 100 to 120 kilometers per hour, and those winds of 120 kilometers per hour will actually spread inland. So Yarmouth, Digby, parts of Shelburne along the coast do plan on wind gusts as a high of 120, and sometimes this model is undergoing it. So there is possibility that we could see winds greater than 120 kilometers per hour, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see winds of 130 and 140 along parts of the south coast. Queens, you'll see less of those winds, less than 100 kilometers per hour, but for sure Digby, Shelburne, and Yarmouth, you are looking at wind speeds of 110 to 120 kilometers per hour. As we get into 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday, we are seeing those winds still gusting between 90 and 100 kilometers per hour. 122 kilometers per hour in parts of the Bay of Fundy towards St. John's, New Brunswick. And as we get into Wednesday evening towards the supper hour, we'll see those winds finally becoming lighter, down to 70 to 80 kilometers per hour range. A little stronger in Digby, where you may see winds still over 90 kilometers per hour, but parts of Shelburne and Yarmouth, you'll see winds now down to tropical storm force, which is between 60 and 70 kilometers per hour. And as we get into 8 o'clock on Wednesday evening, winds continue to diminish between 50 and 70 kilometers per hour. And as we get into the overnight hours of Wednesday into Thursday, we'll see those strong winds going over Cape Breton, but the winds continue to be a bit breezy in the Tri-Counties as we get into overnight Wednesday and Thursday. And we'll see those winds kind of increase a little as we get into Thursday morning, between 70 and 80 kilometers per hour, gusting, of course not sustained, and we may actually see those winds increase as we get into Thursday afternoon as well. So a breezy Thursday. Nevertheless, the biggest part of the storm will be the snow, the ice, and the wind. And of course, as I said in my update earlier, the worst part of the storm will be anywhere from 4 a.m. to noon hour on Wednesday. That is your Tri-County weather update. I am forecaster James Follett. Hope you have a great evening.